Hello and welcome to Marquette Now. I'm Clara Jansen.
And I'm Abdullah Good.
We learned just a few hours ago that Provost Dan Myers will be leaving the university. College of Communication Dean Kimo Ayun will be replacing Myers temporarily as acting provost.
It's not uncommon. And as the provost, as the president pointed out, one of the things that's really important is for there to be an alignment between these positions. And it got to a place where the president didn't believe that alignment existed any longer. In order for Marquette to move forward, we needed to get everybody aligned. And so he made that decision in order to put Marquette in a better position moving forward.
Are you excited?
Very excited.
We don't know yet why Myers is stepping down. More information will be available on marquettewire.org as the story develops.
This is the second high-profile departure from the university in the past week. Executive Vice President of Operations Dave Lawler has resigned from his position after 2 years at Marquette. Lawler is leaving to work for a private investment firm in Chicago. He will be replaced by Joel Pogodzinski, the former Chief Financial Officer of Marquette.
Tension is ramping up as Election Day approaches. Even former President Barack Obama visited Milwaukee to endorse Wisconsin Democrats up and down the ballot last Friday in front of over 4,000 people. Grace Terry has the story.
About 10 minutes away from Marquette's campus, in a gym that you could probably watch a high school basketball game in, Wisconsin Democratic candidates from up and down the ballot gathered to speak about the importance of voting and getting involved in the political process. There was one special guest, as introduced by Senator Tammy Baldwin.
President Barack Obama.
I'm Grace Terry, and I'm here at North Division High School, where a Democratic rally is being held with Democratic candidates from Wisconsin up and down the ballot. There are thousands of people here, and Obama has not been here since 2014.
The biggest threat to our democracy is our own indifference. The biggest threat to our democracy is us getting so cynical that we just stay home. We don't participate.
Rallygoers were excited to hear candidates speak about topics that matter to them. Thousands of people of all ages lined up to show their support for the candidates and the former president, including Marquette students.
I hope that they'll address health care. I think that pre-existing conditions is something that's very important for me. And that's a big reason why I support President Obama and his Affordable Health Care Act and Democrats right now.
Democrats hope the energy will last and bring voters to the polls.
From North Division High School, I'm Grace Terry, Marquette Wire News.
Let's take a look at what and who Wisconsinites will be voting for. Democrat Tony Evers is challenging incumbent Republican Governor Scott Walker. Evers has been the state superintendent of Wisconsin schools for about a decade. He's a Wisconsin native focusing on educating funding. Scott Walker was elected governor in 2010. He's been re-elected twice since then, and his focus is on building jobs and economy in Wisconsin. Republican Lee Vukmir is challenging incumbent Democrat Senator Tammy Baldwin. Vukmir has been a member of the Wisconsin State Senate since 2010 and is a registered nurse. Her platform addresses support for veterans. Senator Tammy Baldwin was elected to her seat in 2012. She's big on accessible health care that covers pre-existing conditions.
Clickbait is nothing new to internet users, but sometimes we all fall for it. This Marquette University professor fooled tens of thousands of social media users, and it worked. Riley Tracy has the story.
What else?
Tim Cegelski is an adjunct professor of social media analytics here at Marquette University. What's special about Tim Cegelski? He just went viral on Twitter by tweeting a link using a technique called newsjacking.
When I saw someone do it to vote.org, I was like, I want to do that and capitalize on something in the news. It's called newsjacking or tentpole marketing, and that people are all paying attention to one thing. How do you capture that attention for something? So this idea of like peak timing, how can you use that to your advantage? It also applies to voting.
Tentpole marketing is used in many occasions regarding media, and it worked for Cegelski. getting over 83,000 likes and 51,000 retweets from Twitter, on top of getting picked up by multiple news sources. Over 86,000 people clicked on this link.
Scrolling through my Twitter timeline, and I saw that my professor had a tweet that had like 30,000 favorites and 15,000 retweets, and it said how he knew the special details about why Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande broke up. So I clicked the link because I was enticed.
And that was cool because even though it had this reach of 8.5 million people, I knew like it reached people right here, right at home, and that was really, then you know it's real, because there's real people here, and you know the people at Marquette, and so that's what was better than just like random strangers on the internet, was like hearing from people right here on campus.
From Johnston Hall, I'm Riley Tracy, Marquette Wire News.
Cegelski's tweet has 83,000 likes and 51,000 retweets on Twitter. With the midterm elections Tuesday, Cegelski still encourages people to hit the polls.
Johnston Hall is still recovering from a Milwaukee County bus coming through its doors. The crash injured several people, including the driver.
That was 5.5 months ago. So why is it taking so long to repair the damage? Chelsea Johanning has the answers.
Johnston Hall is known for the communication school, not a curb-jumping bus. On May 15th, a Milwaukee County bus crashed into Johnston Hall. A project like this takes time.
Right now we're planning spring. The stone has to get carved and it has to be mined and quarried. So that's a little longer than the time frame of summer.
One reason for the delay is history.
The facade of our building is on the State Historical Society. So the guidelines say we just have to be within the spirit of the facade.
But that facade doesn't come easy. The stone has to be mined in Indianapolis, Indiana, and carved by a professional stone carver.
It's not easy. Finding artisans that can carve stone is not like it used to be in the 1800s and early 1900s.
Some students are ready for the finished product.
Construction is really annoying. It makes me late for class. Also, I never see anybody working on it, so I don't know when it's going to end.
The final project will be paid for by Milwaukee County and will cost more than $500,000. At Johnston Hall, I'm Chelsea Johanning for Marquette Wire News.
Marquette's College of Nursing is swimming in cash. The college received a $1 million estate gift from 1959 alumna Barbara Reagan. The money will go towards funding future scholarships. The nursing program has admitted an average of 145 freshmen each year since 2008.
The thought of a stranger stealing your credit card number is pretty scary. It can happen to anyone, anywhere.
Even Marquette students. The Marquette University Police Department is working on preventing increasing instances of wire fraud. Matthew Martinez reports.
Senior Caroline Vance learned about wire fraud the hard way.
And I clicked on a link and my computer just there was a pop-up on it and it said to contact Apple support. So I looked it up on my phone and it said this is fraud. So I immediately started Xing out. He kept trying to put my FaceTime up to see my face, but I had one of those blocks on my computer.
But she's not the only one. The Marquette University Police Department has seen a rise in wire fraud cases as a result of a national uptick. Wire fraud refers to scams over the phone or online that trick victims into revealing their personal information.
It's an easy way to commit a crime. You remain nameless, faceless. There's no witnesses to what you're doing.
The FBI said that there were $1.42 billion of victim losses in 2017 related to internet-based crime.
The way they introduce the scam to the victim is they make it sound like something urgent. Like you need to quickly respond to this or you're in trouble, you're going to be arrested.
At the end of the day, Vance made the best of the experience.
I think it was also kind of a wake-up call to people that I'm friends with and my other little siblings, because while this was happening, I was with my little brother who's in 7th grade and he watched the whole thing happen. So I feel like it ended up being a good learning experience, but I had no idea about wire fraud before.
I'm Matt Martinez, Marquette Wire News.
Wow, the weather has sure been crazy this week, hasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has. We have Caitlin here. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Of course, Clara. Let's take a look at the weather right now in Milwaukee. It is currently 51 degrees with some slight winds coming in. Let's take a look over all of Wisconsin right now. Up north in Minocqua, it's 43 degrees. In Eau Claire, 45, and down in Madison, 52 degrees. As we head into tomorrow, things stay pretty much the same. Up in Superior, it'll be 44, 50 in Eau Claire, and 54 in Madison. Let's take a look at the weather tonight in Milwaukee. It'll be 42 degrees with a 10% chance of rain and some light winds heading in. As we head into the first day of November, we're going to reach a high of 50 degrees. Over the next 5 days, as we see, on Friday and Saturday, it'll be a little cloudy with a high of 47 on Friday and a low of 36. And on Saturday, a high of 47 and a low of 43. On Sunday, we'll see a little bit of rain with a high of 50 and a low of 42. And on Monday, it'll be cloudy again with a high of 51 and a low of 45. And as we head into Tuesday, it'll be a little rainy with a high of 50 and a low of 40. That is all I have for weather. We'll see you back for more Marquette Now after the break.
Welcome back. Marquette for Life, Campus Ministry, and other campus groups are celebrating Respect Life Month through October.
But it's a string of controversies among students. Some argue the groups unfairly portray campus opinion. Rachel Bandy has more.
It may seem like any other quiet October night, but meeting in Central Mall.
As we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
After participating in March for Life, member Yovan Dango joined Marquette for Life and has enjoyed being in a community that fights for similar ideals as her own.
Pro-life issues are very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about this, and I really believe that all life is sacred. So I want to help spread those ideas around campus and really build up a culture of life.
Like, we all come together and fight for a specific cause and promote justice and promote the justice for women and making sure that we value them and that we want them to have a healthy baby.
Campus Ministry works alongside the group, and Assistant Director Steve Blaha also participated in the event.
So when we talk about Respect Life,
in the Catholic Church, and this is something that's promoted by campus ministry on behalf of the university, is we're really looking at how do we respect, care for, support human life and dignity from conception to natural death.
The group also placed flags in Central Mall for the Catholic Church's Respect Life Month. Reporting from Central Mall, I'm Rachel Bandy, Marquette Wire News.
A new graduate program in the College of Arts and Sciences is moving downtown on 6th Street next fall. The new Behavioral Analysis program, a branch of the Psychology Department, launched this semester and already has a full class of students pursuing master's and doctoral specializations.
The university's recent innovation intakes are earning national recognition. This month, Marquette received 2 awards at the National University Economic Development Association's annual summit in Milwaukee recognized that Beyond Boundaries and Explore Challenge Innovatives.
The construction around Johnston Hall is forcing some students to take the south stairwell in and out of the building, a path they may otherwise not take.
More students might have noticed a curious quirk that lies between the first and second floors. McCain-Vogel reports that this feature is not what it seems.
Have you ever walked past something every day without giving it much thought?
Sometimes I feel like going up and down the stairs, I see it, and it confuses me, but I've never really thought too hard about what it is.
But I guess if you don't look up, you might miss it.
Some students might have passed by the mysterious door in the south staircase of Johnston Hall. The door seems to connect Johnston Hall to Jesu Church, but what purpose does this bridge serve?
I think that maybe it's there for someone to just come out and enjoy a nice day maybe, or a secret passageway, or who knows at this point, but it could be anything.
Meet John O'Brien. He is the Executive Director of Operations and Administration at Jesu Parish.
So on the Johnston Hall side, it's sealed or locked, and on our side, we have access to it. And we keep a variety of supplies and certain things that we don't need to access routinely.
But it wasn't always used to store spare junk.
Way back in the day, Catholic priests had to say Mass once a day, I believe before noon. So we had all those priests living over there that needed to come over to Jesu and say Mass. So the walkway was built to allow them to come over at the main church level. Also, it would protect them from the elements and those types of things. When Johnston Hall was originally built, one of the main things it was used for was a residence for the Jesuits that lived here.
And although it might have been called home once upon a time, it likely won't ever be again.
It's a really narrow hallway that doesn't have heat. So I doubt anyone would want to live there.
At Johnston Hall, I'm McCain-Vogel for Marquette Wire News.
After the break, Zoe Comerford has a sports update.
Plus an all-new Down to the Wire with Sydney Szynski.
Welcome back to Marquette Now. I'm Zoe Comfort with your Marquette Sports Update. Right now, men's soccer is taking on the DePaul Blue Demons at Valley Fields for senior night. The current score is 0-0 in the 9th minute. Regardless of the outcome tonight, the Golden Eagles will play St. John's Sunday. Last night, men's basketball played their first game in Fiserv Forum against Carroll University. Although Marquette struggled in the first half, the Golden Eagles shot 76.2% from the field in the second. The Golden Eagles' performance in the second half led them to an 87-44 victory over the Pioneers. Redshirt junior guard Zakar Annam led Marquette with 17 points, and redshirt junior forward Ed Morrow added 16. Meanwhile, Marcus Howard and freshman Joey Hauser tied with 11 points. Marquette hosts UMBC for its home opener next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time. Meanwhile, women's basketball takes on Grand Valley State University tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time in the Al McGuire Center for their exhibition game. With all 5 starters being seniors, the Golden Eagles have a lot of potential and high expectations for the season. Hear what head coach Carolyn Keir had to say about her experienced roster.
We have an incredible senior class that is their last run. So we're talking daily about leaving their mark and having a great time with them in their last go around as this class that's really set the tone and the standard for our program.
Women's volleyball went 1-1 this past weekend at the Al McGuire Center. Friday night, the Golden Eagles fell to the Creighton Blue Jays for the second time this season. However, they turned around Saturday night and swept the Providence Friars. Senior Anna Hawk also reached her 1,000th kill milestone, combining her career from Marquette and Miami. The Golden Eagles sit at second in the Big East with a 10-2 conference record and 20-5 overall record. However, Marquette dropped to number 19 in the NCAA rankings. That's all I have for sports. Don't go anywhere. Sydney Saison will be right back with Down to the Wire.
Thanks, guys. I'm here for Marquette Now with reporter Claire Hyman, who's on the projects desk. She came out with a story in the Tribune this week in our special election edition.
Welcome back to Marquette
That was
Now.
about
We've got
the
a special
obstacles
guest
that young
up
people
next.
face when voting.
Clara Hyman is here to
so
talk about her
Claire,
investigation into why students don't vote. Let's throw it to Sydney Saizon on Down to the Wire.
Yeah.
Elections.
So I wanted to start with a student because I thought this is a story about student voting. So I wanted to get a perspective on someone who wasn't super passionate about voting right away. So when I reached out to him originally, he kind of wasn't planning on voting and was kind of overall confused about Wisconsin voter ID laws. And then when I actually got to talk to him, we talked about how one of his friends actually kind of peer pressured him into voting. So he ended up voting from his home state of New York. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to someone and get different perspectives kind of on why students vote. I know I have heard a lot of people kind of in my life talk about millennials not really turning out to vote. So it was kind of just this anecdotal thing that I kept hearing about young voters and that it wasn't a priority for them or they were lazy or something like that. So it was kind of important to me to hear different things.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely can relate to that. I feel like a lot of millennials are shamed for not being involved in the political process, even though there are definitely a lot of people who are passionate about it.
Right.
And can you kind of talk about some of the obstacles that young people in Wisconsin particularly might face when they try to go to the ballot box to vote?
Yeah, so Wisconsin does have a photo ID law that was implemented in May 2016. So the 2016 presidential election would have been the first time that it was put in place. So when you went to the election, you had to have a photo ID, or a lot of Marquette students would use a voter ID. And the big difference between a voter ID and let's say your Marquette student ID is that a voter ID has an expiration date on it, so it'll tell you when you are, like when the ID itself expires, and it'll also have a signature at the bottom, whereas your Marquette ID doesn't have that. So
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
And your article also cited some studies that pointed out that people vote more in presidential elections than they do in midterm elections. So can you just kind of talk about why that is?
Right, so the reason for that is kind of contested. I think one of the big reasons is just kind of participating in a presidential election kind of means more. It's something we're all doing as a country, as opposed to just kind of like specifically state by state. And also people just connect a lot more, I think, over who's running for the presidential office. A lot of voters and students don't necessarily know all of the kind of different positions that would be on the ballot for a statewide election.
Gotcha. And then I know your article also mentioned that millennials make up more than a quarter of the voting eligible population. So how can millennials truly make a difference this election cycle?
So just by virtue of how many millennials there are like you said, they're at about a quarter, and they are right behind baby boomers who are like 30% of the voting age population. So if they turn out for the causes that they believe in, just by virtue of the size of that demographic, they can definitely make a difference and elect people who represent them and the issues that they care about.
Gotcha. And then really quickly, what is Marquette doing to help students register to vote and get to the election ballot boxes?
So Marquette's doing a number of different things. One of the things they're doing, you can go to the Union Station and get your voter ID. There's also a website that has all the different information if you want to register as an absentee, if you're out of state. So there is a website. I want to say it's marquette.edu/vote. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And then there are also a lot of organizations that are doing things too to promote voting.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on tonight to
absolutely.
talk about it. And we are done for the night, so back to you guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Marquette Now. For more news, visit marquettewire.org. I'm Clara Jansen.
And I'm Abdello Good. Good night, Marquette.